Okay, everybody. I am back. This is part 2. I'm going to add a little bit here. This is about 3 hours after I tried to initially post this to YouTube. And since I put the PSA up first, people hopefully know what's going on already. In that I can't actually post the entire podcast to YouTube. Obviously, YouTube isn't meant for podcasting to begin with, and especially for things that are going to be longer than 15 minutes. So as soon as possible, I will be getting a website and devoting it to this. In the meantime, I just have to, if I want to provide you guys with new things, I'm going to have to do what I'm doing with this video, which is break it up into roughly even intervals of more or less 10 minutes. I mean, this turned out to be about 20, so in addition to this new part that I'm putting in now, you get to head back to Equestria and the amazing story which got interrupted. So, without further ado, back to the podcast. Silence filled the room. The silence hung around for several moments, waiting to be ejected from the proceedings. Twilight was looking at Pinky in the eyes. She felt, as the only one who knew exactly what Beetlejuice was, she should have a little more to offer. Applejack had gone slack-jawed. She knew a lie when she saw one, and this wasn't one. Dash was wondering if she had heard the pink pony correctly, or if she had just missed several steps in the conversation. Rarity was gearing up to comment, but it was Fluttershy who broke the silence, which by now had begun to feel awkward with itself. Pinky peered at the pastel pony, who screwed up her courage and said in a small voice, Why are you telling us now? Pinky gave a little yelp. Oh, because the world is ending in 2 minutes. The ponies stared. The silence, which had only just been ejected from the proceedings, slunk back in the door and settled itself down for a long stay. It was rudely turfed out by an unexpected sound from somewhere above. It was a voice. It spoke equine in a manner likely to cause the most hardened, deafened, and possibly even dead pony to cringe in horror. It was a voice with nothing good to say and no inclination to even try. It echoed around the room, seeming to come off of every surface.
People of Equestria, your attention please. This is prosthetic Vogard Yelts of the Galactic Hyperspace Planning Council. As you will no doubt be aware, the plans for development of the outlying regions of the galaxy require the building of a hyperspatial express route through your star system, and regrettably, your planet is one scheduled for demolition. The process will take slightly less than 2 of your equestrian minutes. Thank you very much.
All 6 ponies dashed outside, dragging Spike along, who for his part had remained stunned for the duration of the previous events. All over Ponyville, ponies of all kinds were staring directly upwards, hanging silently in the sky, huge, yellow, metallic, and with absolutely zero regard for aesthetics or its own weight, hung something. It was not quite cubic, with every last bit of it somehow contriving to utterly fail to please the eye in a new and unpleasant way. Where it should have been clean, it was dirty. Where dirt would have receded from the nastiness, it was polished to a shine. Rust clung like some hideous creature to the corners, large enough to be visible even from the ground. Rarity almost fainted dead away. Ponies did not have a radio, so there was no voice to answer this challenge to their existence, and the prosthetic captain, slightly disappointed at not being able to lecture the planet below and get himself properly angry, pressed the button, set to rubble. The sound was almost as unpleasant as the ships had been, for there had been hundreds, thousands positioned all over the lonely planet, with its own orbiting sun and moon, which had now flew away into space as the planet they had served ceased to exist. The sun would go on to collide with a large meeting of record company executives, which just goes to show that all the events have their bright side. For a moment, an after-image of the planet hung in the sky as a perfect sphere of yellow, chunky ships sat still. Then they peeled away, leaving nothing behind. And so, the end of the world happened, slightly ahead of schedule, which would at least give the captain something to write on his reports and get angry about. Really, very little of the story was ever going to concern Equestria. Better to hurry on without getting bogged down. The Hitchhiker's Guide, in a surprising moment of clarity, mentions that the minds of most races are simply not geared to deal with certain events, especially large-scale tragedies and anything at a distance. Very few beings are capable of considering more than 10 or so deaths without just filing the event at the back of their mind, marked under Do Not Open. They will be aware of it as a bad thing, but will not feel it on a personal level. One race, which by some quirk did not gain this ability to write off tragedy, are the Mardosians of Leplos. They are solitary purple creatures which spend almost all of their lives paralyzed with grief as they feel every single tragedy as if it were personal. Their economy subsists almost entirely on the production of dark corners to sit shaking in, paper bags to hide from the world in, and military-grade intoxicants of all kinds. This simply goes to show that while evolution is the driving force behind life in the universe, it can mess things up just as well as an inattentive god. The only reason the Mardosians have yet to die out completely is that solace is often sought carnally, and the Mardosians, by another quirk of nature, happen to be frightfully good at breeding. This is a shame, because a nice, clean extinction would be a boon to them all. The guide goes on to explain that the Mardosians were particularly grateful when conservative politics were invented, as this enabled them to stop caring about others at all. Thus it was that our 6 ponies and 1 baby dragon were not as phased as they might have thought. This event was simply too big to think about. Another reason that they weren't upset right at this second was that they were, with the exception of Pinky, unconscious. She had been through a matter transference beam before, and took the opportunity to think. Had it been a good idea to get them all drunk last night? Admittedly, she had barely woken up in time, but all in all, she had learned that a hangover had the effect of causing enough self-pity that a pony could ignore almost anything. The body ignored everything other than its current misery. And how else could she have brought them all together? Well, maybe one of her ordinary trademark Pinky parties, but since the magic of alcohol had been discovered by the group, any party generally gravitated towards the stuff. Besides, it had worked, right? It was a shame she couldn't have brought more, but even 7 beings were stretching it for something done without the Vogons noticing and locking them out. As it was, they had arrived intact in a rather squalid but currently unoccupied sleeping quarters. Thanks Celeste, thank some pony for the Dentrasi. Without them, hitching a lift with Vogons would be impossible on a very, very good day, and suicidal on all of the other days. She peered into her bag, making sure she had everything she needed. In addition to the large electronic thumb she had used to hitch a ride, she had her towel, her sub-ether radio, which she had used to pick up the news of the arrival of the Vogons, and that most remarkable book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Sighing, she scrolled down on the entry of Equestria. Magical places had unnaturally rapid updates, as revisions could be beamed from the future where the news finally reached the editor. She stared. This was going to be awkward to explain. Back in the void left behind by Yells, a bright spark of light moved around, trailed by another purple one. Slowly, a wordlet formed, growing. Water bubbled up, creating seas and lakes. Mountains sprouted like snowy spines and grass coated the planet. Had anyone looked closely, they would have seen towns, roads, and houses forming. A tall, white alicorn followed by a smaller purple one strode along, and life spread out from them in ripples. Ponies frozen in the act of peering upwards were magicked back into existence, and orbiting sun and moon formed above, spinning gently. Backup restored. So, just one second, Sugar Q. Why exactly can't we go back? Applejack's voice was patient. Barely. Wow. Pinky bit her lip. Apparently, Celestia is so super-duper powerful, she could have just remade the whole planet around us again and we wouldn't have even noticed. And she did, including every pony there. Every pony, and that means us, will have been brought back to life, out of our normal lives, and we can't exactly go back. I mean, how weird would that be? There'd be 2 of me, and although that would mean really super awesome parties and some great pranks and all sorts, she looked around as the clanging of boots sounded in the hallway. Also, it looks like the Vogons have found us and are almost certainly going to be really mean and throw us off the ship, and I don't really think that we can persuade them to turn around and drop us off. Rainbow Dash face-hoofed. The others just stood dumbstruck. As large green shapes came through the door, only Applejack could say anything. Oh, horse apples. Vogon fanfiction is without a doubt at least the second worst fanfiction in the known universe. It is written with the express purpose of making the author feel happy. And when the author is a large, slug-brained, bloody-minded, petty, vindictive, and generally unpleasant bureaucrat, this results in something truly horrifying. And it was to this that our unfortunate heroes were now being subjected. Vogons know exactly the right fiction to bring out to really upset their guests, and so Yelts had brought out his 4,000-word epic on his pony summer, and how it had saved the universe.
And so Yelt's Ember Sparkler Storm Shadow Rainboomer tossed his changing colored mane, and it flowed like changing rainbow fires over his enormous sexy wings, and his horn split down the middle like a horn splitting fantastic sexy hair, 'cause that's what it was.
Oh my. For those of you who haven't seen the movie, many of the voices are based on those, and you should definitely look up Vogon poetry and possibly Spiders', because that's what it appears that this is. Well, I suppose this came first, but it seems like that's sort of where this was going. Either way, my immortal and horrible things. So long and thanks for all the ponies. Chapter 1 is now recorded. And let me just say that that was a fantastic read. I got about a paragraph into the story before I decided I had to start recording right away. I didn't even read it all the way through, and it just read beautifully. So, this is Vos de Sueños. I hope you had fun. I'll be back as soon as I can.